You are traversing a valley right now. It is a shadowy place. It is a crisis of the sort that robs you of your sleep, that turns the light off inside your chest, that makes the simple act of waking up in the morning feel like lifting a heavy stone. It is that specific, heavy silence where you wonder if your prayers are hitting the ceiling and falling back down, unheard. If this is where you find yourself today, I want you to stop everything. Put down the worry for just a moment. Unclench your jaw. Listen to me closely. You are not alone. You are not cursed. And, despite every piece of evidence your physical eyes are showing you right now, you are not defeated. You are being called. What you are experiencing feels like a breakdown. It feels like the walls are closing in. But in the spiritual realm, which is the only realm of true cause, this is not a breakdown. It is a breakthrough trying to happen. It is the breaking of the shell. You are standing at the precipice of a transformation so profound that, if you stay with me on this journey, you will look back on this dark season not with regret, but with a strange kind of gratitude. You will realize that this was the moment the old you, the limited you, the fearful you, finally surrendered to the divine design. Today, we begin a journey into the heart of scientific Christianity, the practical, life-changing metaphysics of Emmet Fox. This is not religion as you may have known it. This is not about guilt, or punishment, or a distant God sitting on a throne judging your mistakes. This is about law. This is about power. This is about the discovery that the kingdom of heaven is not a place you go to when you die, but a state of consciousness you inhabit while you live. So, I ask you to open your mind, suspend your disbelief, suspend your panic. Stay with me, because this message is the foundation. If you do not understand what I am about to share in this first part, the techniques and the miracles cannot take root. We must first till the soil. We must first wake up to the truth of who you are and how this universe actually operates. Before we can move toward the solution, we must look at the problem. But not in the way you have been looking at it. Emmet Fox taught a radical truth. The problem you are facing, whether it is a mountain of debt, a broken marriage, a terrifying diagnosis, or a deep, lingering depression, has no power of its own. I know that sounds impossible. I know your problem feels powerful. It feels heavy. It screams for your attention all day long. But Fox taught us that conditions are only shadows. They are effects, not causes. A shadow on the wall can look terrifying. It can look like a monster. But if you realize that the shadow is simply caused by a small object blocking the light, you lose your fear of the monster. You realize you simply need to move the object, or change the light. Most of us spend our lives fighting the shadow on the wall. We scream at the debt. We weep over the loneliness. We fight the symptoms of the body. We expend all our life force wrestling with the effect. And because we are fighting the effect, we never change the cause. The cause is not out there. The cause is not the economy. The cause is not your boss. The cause is not your genetics. The cause, as hard as this is to hear, is within. It is in the secret place. It is in your own mind. This is not to blame you. Please do not misunderstand. This is not about saying, it's your fault you are suffering. That is cruel and untrue. It is about saying, it is your responsibility to heal it, and you have the power to heal it. You have been operating under a case of mistaken identity. You have believed that you are a helpless victim of circumstance. You have believed that life happens to you. But the great law of being states that life happens through you. To understand how to get out of this crisis, you must understand the law that got you into it. Emmet Fox called this the law of mental equivalence. It is a scientific, spiritual law, as precise and unforgiving as the law of gravity. If you walk off a roof, gravity will pull you down. It does not matter if you are a saint or a sinner, the law acts. The law of mind is the same. The law states this: you cannot have a physical result without a mental equivalent. You cannot build a bridge without a blueprint. The bridge is the physical reality, the blueprint is the mental equivalent. If the blueprint implies a weakness in the steel, the bridge will collapse. It does not matter how much you pray over the bridge, or how much you paint the bridge. If the blueprint is flawed, the structure fails. Your life is the bridge. Your deep, subconscious beliefs are the blueprint. If you are holding a mental equivalent of I am unworthy, life is a struggle. Money is hard to get, or people always leave me. Then the universe, which is a giant creative mirror, has no choice but to reflect that back to you as physical experience. This explains why you can change your job, change your city, or change your partner, and yet end up in the exact same situation 6 months later. You changed the scenery, but you did not change the mental equivalent. You took your blueprint with you. This is why this crisis is so persistent. You are trying to change the reflection in the mirror by scrubbing the glass. But you cannot change the reflection on the glass until you change the face in front of it. You must build a new mental equivalent. You must dismantle the house of fear you have built in your soul, brick by brick, and begin to build a temple of faith. So, how do we change this blueprint? We cannot do it with human willpower alone. If willpower were enough, you would have fixed this by now. You are exhausted because you have been trying to be God, instead of letting God be you. We must redefine who and what God is. For many of us, our crisis is deepened because our concept of God is too small. We have a childhood image of God as a magnified person, a man in the sky who grants favors if we behave and sends punishment if we slip up. When the crisis hits, we feel this God has abandoned us. We ask, why is he doing this to me? Emmet Fox invites you to grow up spiritually. He teaches that God is not a person. God is principle. God is mind. God is infinite intelligence. God is unconditional love. Think of electricity. Electricity is a principle. It is a power. It does not judge you. It does not say, I will light the lamp for this good person, but I will shock this bad person. No. Electricity works according to law. If you wire the lamp correctly, you get light. If you wire it incorrectly, you get darkness or a shock. God is the power source. You are the lamp. Your thoughts are the wires. Right now, in the midst of your pain, the power is still flowing. God has not cut you off, but your wiring, your habitual thoughts of fear, victimhood, and despair, has short-circuited the flow. You are experiencing the shock of your own negative alignment. This is the good news, because God is principle. He never changes. The power is always available. It is available to you right now, in this second. It is waiting for you to repair the wiring. It is waiting for you to align your mind with the nature of the divine. And what is the nature of the divine? It is wholeness, it is abundance, it is perfect peace, it is harmony. These things are not things God has, they are what God is. Therefore, they are what you are in your true spiritual essence. The sickness, the poverty, the heartbreak, these are lies. They are distortions. They are the static on the radio, but they are not the music. This brings us to the reason why your prayers haven't been working the way you hoped. And I say this with the utmost gentleness, because I know how much you have cried out. Most people, when they are in deep trouble, pray the prayer of the victim. They pray from the problem. They close their eyes and they rehearse the tragedy. They say, "O Lord, I am so sick, please heal me. Oh God, I am so broke, I don't know what to do, please send money." Do you see what is happening there? In the very act of praying, you are affirming the reality of the sickness and the poverty. You are focusing 90% of your mental energy on the problem and only 10% on the hope of a solution. You are impressing your subconscious mind with the idea of, I am sick and I am broke. And because the law of mental equivalence works perfectly, your mind says, okay, you are confirming that you are sick and broke. I will manifest more of that. Emmet Fox taught scientific prayer. This is not begging. This is claiming. This is distinct from pleading. Scientific prayer means turning your back on the condition, literally refusing to give it your mental consent, and facing the spiritual truth. It means saying, I do not accept this appearance of lack. My Father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I am an heir to the kingdom. Divine abundance is the law of my life, and I claim it now. It is a shift from God. Help me to survive this. To God, I thank you that you are already living through me as the solution. We are preparing you for the great work. But first, you must take stock of your inner atmosphere. Emmet Fox used to ask, what is the climate of your soul? If you walk into a room where people have been arguing, the air feels thick. You want to leave. If you walk into a sanctuary, the air feels light. You want to stay. You carry an atmosphere with you everywhere you go. Right now, because of this crisis, your inner atmosphere is likely a storm. It is filled with the gray fog of worry and the lightning strikes of panic. You are waking up every day checking the weather report of your problems. Is the debt still there? Yes. Is the pain still there? Yes. And so you forecast another day of storms. You must become the master of your weather. You cannot control the events outside of you immediately. That takes time for the manifestation to catch up. But you can control the inner climate immediately. You can decide right now, I will not dwell in this fog. I will light a lamp. You have to understand that your feelings follow your thoughts. You think you feel bad because of the crisis. No. You feel bad because you are thinking about the crisis with fear. If you were to think about the crisis with absolute faith that God is solving it, you would feel excited. You would feel relieved. The condition hasn't changed, but the thought changed, and therefore the feeling changed. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. For too long you have left the gate open. You have let every bandit, every thief, every negative thought walk in with muddy boots and trash your house. You have let the news, the naysayers, and your own past failures set up camp in your living room. Part 1 of this transformation is the decision to close the gate. It is the decision to say, enough. This is holy ground. My mind is the temple of the living God, and I will no longer allow thoughts of defeat to live here. We are approaching the moment of action. But before I can give you the routine, the specific mental diet that heals, you must make a covenant with yourself. You must accept that the old way of dealing with life, worrying, manipulating, forcing, begging, complaining, is dead. It has not worked. It has brought you here. Are you ready to try a new way? Are you ready to accept that the visible world is just a screen and you are the projector? If you don't like the movie, it is useless to yell at the screen. You must go back to the projection booth, your mind, and change the film. This crisis is your invitation to the projection booth. The routine I will share in the next part is not for the faint of heart. It requires discipline. It is harder than physical labor. Emmet Fox said, "It is easier to shovel coal for a day than to watch your thoughts for an hour." But the reward is not just the solving of your problem. The reward is a new life. The reward is dominion. The reward is peace that passes all understanding. You are standing on the edge of the Red Sea. The enemy is behind you. The water is in front of you. There is no turning back. You can only go forward. And to go forward, you must believe that the waters will part. Not because you are lucky, but because it is the law. Take a moment now. Sit in silence. Feel the weight of these truths settling into your bones. You are not a victim. You are a sleeping giant, and the alarm clock just went off. Prepare yourself. The work is about to begin. The transformation is at hand. We have established the truth your mind is the cause, and your life is the effect. We have accepted the law. But knowing the law is not enough. You can know everything about the laws of aerodynamics, but that knowledge alone will not fly the plane. You must get in the cockpit. You must turn the switches. You must apply the force. Many people stay stuck in their crisis because they use spirituality as a sedative. They read the books. They listen to the sermons. They feel a momentary sense of peace, and then they go right back to their old habits of thinking. They treat metaphysics like aspirin, something to take only when the pain is unbearable. But Emmet Fox was not interested in temporary relief. He was a scientist of the soul. He was interested in a cure. And a cure requires a regimen. It requires a systematic, disciplined application of truth to error. Today I am handing you the tools. These are not suggestions. If you are truly serious about walking out of this valley, these are requirements. We are going to implement a routine that interrupts your old patterns and installs a new operating system in your subconscious mind. The first and most vital tool in this kit is what Emmet Fox famously called the golden key. It is widely considered one of the most powerful spiritual formulas ever written. It is simple, yet it requires a mental strength that you must cultivate. The rule of the golden key is this: stop thinking about the difficulty and think about God instead. That is it. It sounds too simple to be true, doesn't it? Your intellect wants something complicated. It wants a 10-step analysis of why your life is falling apart. But analysis is paralysis. Dissecting a corpse does not bring it back to life. Analyzing your problem only glues you to it. Here is the mechanics of why the golden key works. The human mind cannot think of two things at once. It is physically impossible. You cannot be fully focused on the grandeur of the ocean and fully focused on the math problem in your head at the same time. One must displace the other. When you are worrying, you are meditating on the problem. You are giving it your life force. You are making it an idol. The golden key breaks that connection. So here is the practice. The moment the fear rises, the moment the thought of the debt, the illness, or the conflict enters your mind, you do not fight it. You do not argue with it. You do not say, "I hope this goes away." Instead, you immediately turn your attention to God. You say, "God is wisdom. God is infinite intelligence. God is present here." You think about the nature of God. You think about the sun rising without effort. You think about the power that spins the planets. You inundate your mind with the idea of God. If you are thinking about God, you are not thinking about the problem. And if you are not thinking about the problem, you are not feeding it. And if you do not feed it, it must die. This is the sword that cuts the chains. Use it 100 times a day if necessary. Now, we move to the lifestyle change. Fox proposed a challenge that he called the 7-day mental diet. He said that if you could go 7 days without dwelling on a single negative thought, your entire life would change. But he also warned, it is the most difficult task you will ever attempt. For the purpose of this routine, we are going to adapt this into a strict diet of speech. Words are thoughts crystallized. They are acoustic affirmations. Every time you say, I am so tired, or I will never get out of this, or the economy is terrible, you are signing a contract with that reality. You are ordering more of it from the universal menu. Here is the rule for your routine. For the next 7 days, you are forbidden from voicing any negativity. You may not complain about the weather. You may not complain about your health. You may not tell the story of how you were wronged. If someone asks how you are, you do not have to lie and say, perfect, but you can say, I am working through it, or I am expecting a breakthrough. If you catch yourself speaking negatively, stop mid-sentence. Do not feel guilty. Guilt is just another form of negativity. Just stop and say, I cancel that. That is not the truth of my being. This creates a vacuum. When you stop speaking about the problem, you create a space for the solution to enter. Now take a pen and paper. This is your prescription. This is the routine you will follow every single day until the demonstration occurs. Step 1. The morning watch, the awakening. Do not jump out of bed into the rush of the world. Your mind is like wet cement in the morning. Whatever lands on it hardens throughout the day. Action. Before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, lay still and center your thought. Affirm, this is God's day. I am God's instrument. Divine intelligence goes before me and makes straight my path. Visualization. Spend 2 minutes visualizing your day going perfectly. See the end result you desire. Do not wonder how it will happen, just see that it has happened. Step 2A, the treatment, scientific prayer. Sometime in the morning, find a quiet corner. We are going to do a treatment. A treatment is a specific form of prayer that clears the mind of fear. Action, read a Psalm 23 or 91 are excellent, or a page of spiritual reading. Then speak to your own soul. Say, I release the fear of Cain. Name your problem. It has no power over me. It is a shadow. I claim the power of God in this situation. The right action is taking place now. Speak it with authority, not hope. You are not asking for permission. You are enforcing the law. Step 3. The noon recollection. The world is noisy. By noon, the dust of the world has started to cover your vision. You need to wash your mind. Action, set an alarm on your phone for midday. When it rings, stop. You don't need to close your eyes if you are at work. Just take a deep breath and recall the presence of God. Remind yourself, God is with me. I am not doing this alone. This breaks the hypnotic spell of stress. Step 4. The evening review and release. Never take your worries to bed. If you fall asleep worrying, your subconscious mind will marinate in that worry for 8 hours. It will cook up new problems for tomorrow. Action, before sleep. Mentally pack up your problems. Imagine putting them in a box. Visualize handing that box to God. Say, Father, I have done my best today. I hand this over to you. You work while I sleep. Sleep on the solution. Fall asleep repeating a single word, peace, or victory, or God. Let that be the lullaby that carries you into the night. As you begin this routine, I must warn you the resistance will come. The old mental equivalent does not want to die. It will fight back. You might find that on the first day of your new routine, things actually seem to go wrong. You might feel a sudden surge of anger or despair. Do not panic. Fox called this chemicalization. When you pour a cleaning agent into a dirty drain, it fizzes and bubbles and brings the muck to the surface. It looks messy, but it is actually the process of cleaning. When you pour truth into a mind filled with error, there is a reaction. The old fears are being stirred up so they can be washed away. If you feel worse for a day or two, rejoice. It means the treatment is working. It means the truth is touching the infection. Do not stop, press through. The storm is always loudest just before it clears. Finally, this routine requires action. You cannot sit on the couch, affirm prosperity, and wait for a bag of money to drop through the ceiling. That is not faith, that is hallucination. Faith requires a channel through which to act. You must give God something to work with. Ask yourself, If I truly believed that God was solving this problem, what would I do today? Would you make that phone call? Would you tidy your house? Would you dress a little better? Would you forgive that person? Whatever that action is, do it, even if it is small. Small actions based on faith are powerful signals to the universe. They say, I trust you. They open the floodgates. We are building a new structure, brick by brick. The morning watch is a brick. The golden key is a brick. The diet of speech is a brick. You are the builder. And now you have the blueprints. In our modern world, the word surrender sounds weak. It sounds like waving a white flag. It sounds like losing. But in the metaphysics of Emmet Fox, surrender is not an act of weakness. It is an act of supreme mechanical leverage. Imagine you are trying to lift a boulder that weighs 1,000 pounds. You are straining, your muscles are tearing, you are screaming in effort. That is you trying to solve your crisis with your human will. Surrender is not walking away from the boulder. Surrender is the moment you step back and bring in a crane. The crane has the power. Your job is simply to hook the chains. When you surrender to God, you are saying, Infinite wisdom, I do not know how to solve this, but I know that you do. I am stepping out of the way. I am taking my hands off the steering wheel so you can drive. This is the hardest part for the ego. The ego wants to control the details. It wants to know how the money will come, when the healing will start, who will apologize. But Emmet Fox was very clear: the how is not your business. Your business is the what. You define the end result: freedom, health, peace. You hold that picture, but you must leave the how entirely to divine mind. God has ways of solving your problem that you cannot even imagine. If you insist that the solution must look a certain way, you are blocking the miracle. How do you know if you have truly surrendered? There is a litmus test. The test is peace. If you are still anxious, you have not surrendered. You are still trying to lift the boulder. But the moment you truly hand it over, the moment you realize that the great law is now working on your behalf, a strange and beautiful calm will wash over you. You might look around and see that nothing has changed on the outside yet. The diagnosis is still on the paper, but inside, the war is over. You feel a sense of, it is done. This inner peace is the demonstration. Please understand this: the feeling of relief is the miracle. The physical manifestation is just the echo. Once you feel that peace, the hard work is finished. The manifestation is inevitable. You can stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Does this really work in the messy, complicated real world? Or is this just comforting philosophy? Let me remind you of George, whose story reflects so many who have walked this path. George had lost his business, his savings, and his sense of worth. He felt invisible. For months, he pounded the pavement, begging for work, operating from a frequency of desperation. Every interview ended in silence because people can smell desperation. It repels prosperity. Then George stopped. He picked up the teachings. He applied the mental diet. He stopped talking about how hard the market was. He started the morning watch. He started to build a mental equivalent of value and service. On the 11th day of his new routine, he was sitting in a park, not worrying, but reading a book, feeling a deep sense of trust. His phone rang. It was an acquaintance he hadn't spoken to in 5 years. "George," the voice said, "I don't know why, but you just popped into my head. I have a project that needs exactly your skill set." That phone call was not luck. It was a summons from the universal law. George didn't chase the job chased him because his frequency had become a magnet. And there was Clara, who faced a painful separation. She thought her life was over. Through the golden key, she stopped replaying the tape of betrayal. She turned to God. Slowly, the bitterness evaporated. She didn't just get her joy back. She found a new depth of character she never knew she had. She told us later, "I thank God for the crisis. Without it, I would have stayed asleep. The pain woke me up." This is where your journey leads, not just to the solving of a temporary problem, but to a permanent residence in what the Bible calls the secret place of the Most High. This is a state of consciousness where the world cannot touch you. It is the eye of the hurricane. Chaos may spin around you, but within you there is a sanctuary of absolute stillness. When you live from this place, you do not fear bad news, because you know that nothing can happen to you that God cannot redeem. You walk through the world with a quiet confidence. You become a light for others, not because you preach, but because you are. You realize that you are not a body struggling to survive. You are a spirit learning to fly. The crisis was just the wind that forced you to open your wings. We have reached the end of this message, but it is the beginning of your demonstration. Do not let these words fade. Do not let the noise of the world steal this seed. You have the tools. You have the law. You have the power. Let us seal this with a final affirmation of victory. Say this in your heart, or speak it aloud to the empty room. I am now stepping out of the shadows and into the light. I release the past. I forgive everyone, including myself. I accept that God is my supply, my health, and my deliverer. The walls are falling down. The way is open. I go forward in faith, knowing that the battle is not mine, but God's. And so it is. Go now. Keep the watch. Keep the faith. The dawn has already broken.